In every single source that survives from the Viking Age, there is no version of this story where Odin lives. Not one. The Poetic Edda says a wolf swallows him whole. Snorri Sturluson, writing it all down 2 centuries later, doesn't soften it either. It is the one plot point Norse mythology never bends on. The king of the gods dies, on schedule, at the end of the world. So when Sony's God of War Ragnarok ends with Odin's story going a completely different way, that's not a studio adapting a myth. That's a studio breaking the one law the myth actually has. And it's not the only realm where the game quietly rewrites the rules. So, realm by realm, god by god, what did Ragnarok actually keep? And what did the game dare to change? One rule before we start: every difference goes in one of 2 piles. Pile 1 is creative license, a change with no line in the actual Eddas to back it, but one that still fits the spirit of the myth. Pile 2 is a real error, something that just contradicts what Snorri Sturluson and the old poems actually say. We're not keeping score. Let's start with the god the whole game is built around. God of War Ragnarok spends its entire runtime hiding Odin inside another god's skin, manipulating everyone around him toward his own ending. Players call it a twist. Historians call it Tuesday. The real Odin, in Grim Nismal, disguises himself as a wandering traveler and lets a king torture him for nights on end, just to test him. In Harbard Slod, he needles his own son Thor from across a river, lying about his own name for the entertainment of it. Snorri's own sagas paint him as a sorcerer king who wins wars through trickery, not strength. The books call him Allfather. The poems call him an oathbreaker. The game's paranoid, manipulative Odin isn't an invention. It's the myth's other half, the half the marble statues never show. Pile 1, creative license, and genuinely well-read license at that. Then there's Thor. In the game, he's heavy-set, hungover, and hollowed out by guilt. In the popular imagination, he's a red-bearded wall of muscle who never loses a fight. Here's the real complication. The actual colour of Thor's beard is genuinely argued over by scholars. The Prose Edda's own wording is ambiguous enough that red-bearded Thor is more later saga tradition than settled fact. What isn't ambiguous is temperament. Every source agrees Thor is short-tempered, beloved by ordinary farmers as their protector, and defined by raw strength, not self-doubt. An alcoholic, grief-ridden Thor, mourning sons he's already lost. That's not in Snorri. That's not in the Poetic Edda. That's the writer's room. Pile 2. But the kind of Pile 2 swap that makes for a better character, not a careless one. Now the twist the whole game hangs on. Atreus is Loki, and the myths agree, mostly. The real Loki's mother is Laufey, a giantess, exactly like in the game. But his father, in every surviving source, is a Jotun named Farbauti, not Kratos. Loki isn't half god, half mortal in the myths. He's a giant who talks his way into Asgard and becomes Odin's blood brother by oath, not by birth. The game needed Kratos to be Loki's father for its own story about generational trauma. A real, deliberate rewrite, not a misreading. Call it the boldest swing in the whole game, and also, honestly, the least mythologically defensible one, the wolf. In the myths, the gods already fear what Fenrir will become, so they trick him into wearing a magical ribbon called Gleipnir, and the god Tyr loses a hand, proving it safe. Fenrir spends the rest of mythology chained, waiting for the day he breaks free and swallows Odin whole. In the game, none of that happens. This Fenrir is raised affectionately by Atreus, never bound, and, depending how you read the ending, survives Ragnarok entirely. The god fated to kill Odin doesn't just get freed early, he gets adopted. Thor's fated killer gets an even bigger rewrite. In the Eddas, Jörmungandr is a monster Odin throws into the sea specifically because of a prophecy. Thor and the serpent are destined to kill each other at the end of the world. No exceptions. In the game, the serpent is Kratos and Atreus' friend. Faye's own journal calls it friendly. There is no version of the actual myth where the world serpent is anyone's friend. This isn't a small liberty. It's turning the single most fatalistic relationship in Norse cosmology into found family. Surtr, the fire giant, is one of the oldest beings in the myths, present since before the gods themselves. And at Ragnarok, his fire burns the entire world, not one building in it. The game keeps Surtr's role as the bringer of the ending, but narrows the scale down to Asgard alone. A real change, but one that fits a video game's need for a final boss arena instead of a literal cosmos-ending wildfire. Pile 1. Not everything gets rewritten. The three Norns, Urd, the Dandy and Skuld, sit at the base of the world tree, carving fate into its bark in both the myths and the game actually keeps their core function intact. They know what's coming, and they won't just tell you. One honest scholarly caveat: whether the Norns were always a fixed trio, or whether that's Snorri's own tidy summary of a messier folk tradition of many fate spirits, is a genuine, still open academic question. Not something this video is going to pretend is settled. Here's the one that surprises even mythology nerds. Go looking for the actual ancient list of the 9 realms: Asgard, Vanaheim, Alfheim, Midgard, Jotunheim, Niflheim, Muspelheim, Svartalfheim, Helheim, and you won't find it, not as one list, anywhere, in any single surviving source. The phrase 9 worlds appears exactly a couple of times, in scattered verses, and the specific 9 names people repeat today are a modern scholarly stitch job, pieced together across different poems centuries after they were written, which means, on this one point, the game isn't any less accurate than the version most people already believe. It's inheriting the same modern reconstruction everyone else does. If any of this made you want the primary sources instead of a video game's version of them, the 2 I pulled every fact in this video from are Snorri Sturluson's Prose Edda and Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. The second is the most readable modern retelling that still tracks the real sources. Worth a read either way. Everything up to now has been one myth at a time. The real ending isn't a list, it's a sequence, and the game skips almost all of it. It starts with Fimbulwinter, 3 winters running, no summer between them. Snorri Sturluson's detail, 3 centuries after the fact, and, per the older poem itself, brothers killing brothers before the weather even finishes the job. 3 roosters crow to announce it. Red Fiala among the giants, gold-combed Gullinkambi in Asgard, waking every warrior in Valhalla, and a third, unnamed, crowing up from hell itself. Heimdall raises Gjallarhorn and blows it, once as hard as he can. And the world tree starts to shake. The sky tears open. Fire giants cross the Rainbow Bridge, Bifrost, and it shatters under them, though that detail is Snorri's 3 centuries later. The oldest poem only says the heavens split. At sea, a ship built from the dead's untrimmed nails breaks loose. Naglfar. A correction, before the internet makes it for you. Loki doesn't captain it. The Poetic Edda names no one at the helm. Snorri hands the wheel to a giant called Hrym. Even the sun's killer is disputed. Some sources say the wolves, Skoll and Hati. One just as old says Fenrir himself. Then every fight you've watched happens at once. Odin falls to Fenrir, on schedule. Exactly like every surviving source says he must. Vidar avenges him on the spot. Thor kills the serpent. And 9 steps later, its venom kills him anyway. Even winning doesn't save him. Freyr goes down, unarmed against Surtr. Tyr and Garm kill each other. So do Heimdall and Loki, though those last 2 pairings are Snorri's own arrangement, not the older poems. Fire goes up over everything. The world goes under the sea. And then, the world doesn't just end. The earth rises out of the sea again, green, waterfalls falling onto land that was ash a moment ago. On a plain called Idavola, the surviving gods find their old golden game pieces lying in the grass, untouched since the beginning of everything. Balder comes back from the dead. So does Hodder, the brother whose hand killed him by accident. One honest caveat right here. Part of this ending survives in only one of 2 medieval manuscripts, and scholars widely read its very last line, a mighty one arriving to rule everything, as a Christian scribe's addition. Even the happy ending has an asterisk, but this part isn't in question. Two humans, Lif and Lifthrasir, spent the whole winter hidden in what's widely read as Yggdrasil itself, living on nothing but morning dew, and they walk out to become everyone who's ever lived since, under a new sun, the old sun's own daughter, born just before the wolf caught her mother. So here's the real question. Ragnarok always had survivors on the other side of it. The myth keeps a rebirth ready the whole time. The game keeps that shape. It just swaps who gets to walk through it. Two hidden mortals and a short list of gods in the real myth, never Odin in either version, versus Kratos and Atreus in the game. Is that the smartest choice in the whole game, or the one place it quietly breaks the ending's actual point? Tell me which change you think went too far, and if you want the real gods behind every game, show and movie that borrows them, subscribe. That's what we do.